What's going on, everyone? This is David with All Beach Everything again, giving you another playing tip to help you out with your beach game. And today I'm going to be covering positioning on defense. And this is going to be a little bit more of an advanced tutorial, as it's not really highlighting how to defend a specific shot with a specific block or just a general play. This is going to be illustrating how to cover as many shots as possible and really just playing the percentages of defending the most likely shot to develop out of a play. And it's really adjusting in real time as a play is happening, opposed to being in a predetermined position with a line block and a cross-court dig, etc. This is a lot more fluid, and this is going to be part 1 of 2, since there's going to be a lot to cover in this one short play. So what we're going to be focusing on is Ty Tramblie on this side. The shot is going to be coming from Sean Scott. He's going to be hitting a little cutty, and Ty can't quite get there, so I'll roll this real quickly, just to give you an idea what we'll be working with. So you see the pass comes toward the middle, and the set also drifts a little bit more towards the right, and Scott hits a little cutty across his body to the left. And why this probably ended up being a point for Hayden and Scott is that Binstock, who's the blocker, probably had a line block up, and that's because off of the serve, Ty immediately went over towards his left and stayed over there even while the set went up. In one of the previous videos on how to defend the line with a cross-court block, you saw how Ty, similarly in this situation, waited on the cross-court and then jumped over to the line at the last minute. You can see here that he's still in that cross, so I can tell that this is probably a block that was a call for a line, and Ty is just kind of stuck over on that left side of the court. And unfortunately, this is where it gets really tricky for defenses when passes and sets come into the middle of the court. One of the things that you can do as a team is you can call switch. Calling switch just switches whatever the block call is. So in this instance, it was a line block call. If you called switch early enough, then Ty knows that, okay, he's taking away the cross. I'm going to go over to the right side of the court and cover that side. It's usually tough to execute that because you have to do it in enough time, and the blocker has to be able to recognize it early enough. It's a little bit risky, but if you get used to it, it's a very effective strategy. Since they're sticking with what their original call is, and I'll illustrate now on the near side of the court. Ty right now is in good position, and he's shading the block. So right now, let's pretend that Scott's on the other side of the court, on the left side here, the far side of the court, the left side there, and Josh is on the near side of the court. He's over here, and Ty is actually positioned. You have to kind of do a mirror image where he's actually over here approximately. And I can tell that he's in this back half of the court because the path that he took to the ball, he didn't cross over his legs, so I can tell that he's still running a little bit forward to chase that ball down. So I can tell just from that he's a little bit in the back half of the court. Also, if we flip the players around, I can see that he's shading the block pretty well. He's right there in comparison to the other side. And also, from here, Scott has a shot into that deep corner, similarly over here. It just looks a little bit different, but I think that's a pretty good estimation of where Ty is set up. Now again, if we flip things around, the shot is going to be coming over here to the little cutty, and it's landing somewhere in this area. Now where Ty probably should have set up, and I'll illustrate this with a green rectangle, is he should probably play a little bit closer towards the block and a little bit closer towards the net. So to illustrate again, shading the block like this, he's just off of that, then you want to be almost right on that block and just a little bit closer in towards the net. And the reason for this is because if you take just a traditional route over to that ball, you have this long route to cover, whereas with the green one, not as far. And actually what you're doing, being a little bit closer, is that you're giving yourself a shorter route to the trajectory of the ball. So not where the ball is landing, but you have to think about where the ball is mid-air, and you really want to intercept it while it's somewhere around your waist so you can get a nice clean dig. And if he's up a little bit closer, chances are he can intercept the ball when it's, say, around this area here. Even if it's a little bit closer to the ground, having that shorter path means he's getting over to that spot much quicker, and he can at least get a nice stab on the ball. Just another thing I'll cover is that on this play, I'll do it in slow motion, as you notice, see how he's still has his hips and shoulders pointed outside of the court, not pointing inward. So say even if he did get a good jump on the ball, having to try and bring that dig back in towards the court is going to be extremely difficult. Actually, it's probably going to be impossible. At best, it's going to come straight up, and more likely it's going to come a little bit outside of the court, and it's going to be a tough play for them to side out regardless. So in this instance, where you have a broken block, where basically you know that your block is not going to be effective, play in, force them to hit that tough shot into the sharp angle. If they do hit that shot, then kudos to them. You tip your hat, move on to the next point. Playing a little bit further up and tighter to your block still allows you to cut off that seam shot, and it gives you at least an arm's length reach into that deep corner while giving yourself a short distance to cover the cutty. Alright, that's it for now. There's a couple other things that I want to cover with this play, so stay tuned for part 2. And if you want to get more tips and videos like this, visit allbeacheverything.blogspot.com.